Already almost 6 years old, the iPhone 5 continues to impress me when I use it despite its age. Hey, how's it going? I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and today we're going to be talking about the iPhone 5 and what it's like to use it in 2018. Is the iPhone 5 obsolete? So the iPhone 5 was released in 2012, which is, well, 6 years ago. It's hard to believe. The iPhone 5 was also the last Steve Jobs era iPhone. Now, Steve Jobs had already passed, but the design and pretty much idea of what the iPhone 5 was going to be was of course decided before he died. Plus, it ran iOS 6, which was kind of the last Steve Jobs firmware. It has that classic skeuomorphic design, and it's really nice to look at. But we are more focused on 2018 here, and obviously this is no longer a thing. So let's move on. The iPhone 5 introduced a beautiful design, and while I wouldn't say it's the most modern looking anymore, it's definitely not old looking either, with phones like the iPhone SE still kind of keeping the design alive. It came in an aluminum build and had glass antenna bands. I love the look, and I kind of miss it in a lot of ways. It came in two color options, being black and slate or white and silver. I have here the black and slate, and interestingly, this color was discontinued the next year, and so if you want this color, you can only find it on the iPhone 5. The phone is very durable and yet very light. It's actually very well built, and it's nice to see that, again, it lives on in the iPhone SE. The iPhone 5 has a 4-inch display with a resolution of 640 by 1136 and pixel density of 326 pixels per inch. The display looks pretty good, and you know, it's a Retina display. It's decent enough for 2018. You can't see pixels, and that's all I care about. But the phone is kind of small, and that's something not everybody's gonna like. That's probably the biggest thing that sets it apart from phones in 2018. So if you don't like small phones, you definitely are not going to want to use the iPhone 5. So let's talk about the camera here, because that's kind of a big deal for people in 2018, actually anytime. You can see in that area on this phone, it's pretty destroyed, and I'm not quite sure why. It's actually my friend's phone, not mine, but the camera still functions fine, so that's all I care about. Anyway, the camera is 8 megapixels and can shoot 1080p video. You can get some really nice shots here, and it looks really good with good lighting. The secondary camera, on the other hand, or the selfie camera, has only 1.2 megapixels. It's not very good. You can also shoot 720p video. I don't know why you would. It doesn't look good. It's an improvement over the iPhone 4S, but yeah, no, I wouldn't use a selfie camera on the iPhone 5. Overall, the camera on the iPhone 5 doesn't really disappoint. It's not amazing by 2018 standards, but it's perfectly acceptable, and you can definitely get some nice looking shots with it. This video is being taken on the iPhone 5, and honestly, it's really not that bad. The iPhone 5 was the last iPhone to come out without Touch ID, well, except for the iPhone 5C. But anyway, it was the phone before the 5S, so yeah, no fingerprint sensor here. The battery is 1,440 milliamp hours. It sounds pretty small size, but it isn't exactly powering too much, so it's not too bad. If you have a good battery, it will last you through the day, but since these are old, a lot of batteries will be very worn and basically dead. This iPhone 5 on iOS 6 is a good example. It will die after a few hours of standby. The previous owner kept it in perfect condition, but he must have used it a lot because the battery is absolutely terrible. Spec-wise, the iPhone 5 does not disappoint. It has Apple's A6 chipset with 32-bit architecture, which will come into play later, and 1 whole gigabyte of RAM. That might not sound like a lot, but for 2012, that's not bad. And that amount of RAM has really helped its longevity in life. If you look at the iPhone 4S, it only had 512 megabytes of RAM, or half a gigabyte of RAM. You can definitely tell when you compare the two side by side. The iPhone 5 is supported up to iOS 10.3.3, and again, it is 32-bit, which is why it did not get iOS 11. At least that's one reason for it. I'm very glad it did not get iOS 11, and the reason is because it actually runs really well on iOS 10. Everything is pretty darn smooth, and that's going to vary user to user depending on the phone, but for me, when I've used it, it actually works fine. It isn't the fastest experience in the world, but it totally works. And what's also nice is that you can jailbreak it without issue. There's actually a jailbreak that just recently came out for iOS 10.3.3 on 32-bit devices. But really, the iPhone 5 actually totally works as a smartphone in 2018, much unlike, say, the iPhone 4S. And this is kind of surprising. The iPhone 5 can actually download any app on the App Store. Well, most apps on the App Store. Store. For right now, the minimum required iOS version is iOS 9. In a year, it'll be iOS 10. So this means you can download most apps like, say, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You can download the latest version of it, Snapchat, whatever. And that support will continue until probably iOS 13, which will be September of 2019. So while the iPhone 5 isn't really great in the long term, if you need something cheap right now, this will actually totally work. You can find the iPhone 5 for around $40 to $60 on eBay. If you need a cheap phone or a backup phone, then I would actually totally recommend the iPhone 5. I gotta say, it's definitely much better than the Androids in the same price bracket, considering the support and the speeds are pretty decent for what it is, and I gotta say, it really holds up in 2018, and I'm very impressed with what Apple did here, especially in comparison to the iPhone 4S, which I reviewed last week, link down below. And I'm actually so impressed, I'm gonna be posting a whole nother video tomorrow talking about it because I think it's worth talking about. But anyways, the iPhone 5 is really the complete package here. There isn't a whole lot of flaws for 2018. Sure, it's not the fastest thing in the world, but it doesn't really need to be. For a $40 to $50 to $60 phone, this is really good actually. The iPhone 5 gets the job done and it does it pretty well. Would I recommend you go out and get an iPhone 5 and live on it? No, obviously not. If you can afford something better, get something better. But for those who really need a budget option, the iPhone 5 is definitely worth looking into. But I would like to hear what you guys think, so make sure you comment down your thoughts, like this video if you found it interesting, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this. I will be posting another video on the iPhone 5 tomorrow. Again, if you're in the future, link will be below. You should go follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram. That would be pretty cool of you. Links down below in the description. Sorry for the shorter video today. It's just not a lot to say. The iPhone 5 is still pretty decent in 2018. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And with that all being said, and without further ado, I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and I will see you all next time.